Denver, a major city in the United States, sits at an elevation of approximately 1 mile above sea level, earning it the nickname 1 Mile High. The city is also home to Denver International Airport, the largest airport in North America and one of the busiest in the world. Denver boasts the iconic Red Rocks Amphitheater, a breathtaking open-air concert venue surrounded by towering red sandstone formations. With 10,000 seats for music lovers, the venue has hosted legendary acts like the Beatles, John Denver, and Coldplay, creating unforgettable performances under the open sky. Yet, amidst the harmony of music that resonates through the amphitheater, thousands of homeless individuals in Denver face a nightly struggle, searching for a safe place to sleep. The contrast is striking. A city celebrated for its cultural and natural wonders, yet shadowed by the challenges of providing shelter for its most vulnerable residents. This year, the point-in-time count revealed a 10% increase in homelessness across the Denver metro area, reaching a record 9,977 individuals. The report also highlighted a sharp rise in homeless families, increasing by more than 1,000, from 2,101 in 2023 to 3,136 in 2024. Approximately 2,919 individuals, or 29.2%, are unsheltered, living on the streets or in makeshift camps, while the remaining 70.7% are housed in emergency shelters. It's difficult to reconcile these statistics while walking through Cherry Creek, Denver's hub for luxury living. The Cherry Creek Shopping Center dazzles with high-end boutiques like Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and Tiffany & Co., offering a premium shopping experience. Just beyond, Cherry Creek North brims with 5-star restaurants, exclusive art galleries, and indulgent spas catering to Denver's elite. In stark contrast, the Cherry Creek Trail, a scenic path along Cherry Creek, tells a different story. Often hidden from plain sight, this area has become a haven for the city's homeless population. Here, tents are pitched in quiet corners, offering a modicum of shelter while keeping occupants close to urban amenities. This juxtaposition of opulence and struggle paints a vivid portrait of Denver's growing socioeconomic divide. Homelessness in Denver reveals a diverse and complex demographic landscape. Notably, 44% of those experiencing homelessness are newly homeless, surpassing the 30% categorized as chronically homeless. This surge includes many newly homeless families, particularly single mothers with 1 to 3 children, highlighting a troubling trend among vulnerable households. Men make up the majority of the homeless population at 62%, followed by women at 36.7%, and transgender individuals at 0.6%. Age demographics show that teens under 18 account for 15.3% of the homeless population, while adults aged 35-44, the largest group, constitute 21.7%. Seniors aged 65 and older also represent a significant portion at 15.6%. Underscoring the challenges faced by aging populations without secure housing. Racial disparities are stark within Denver's homeless community. While white individuals make up 84% of the general population, they represent only 59% of the homeless population, indicating they are underrepresented relative to their numbers. In contrast, Black individuals, who comprise just 6% of Denver's population, account for a disproportionate 22% of the homeless demographic. Similarly, Hispanic and Latino populations, which represent 23% of Denver's total population, constitute a higher 30% of the homeless population. These statistics highlight the intersection of systemic inequities, economic instability, and social challenges contributing to homelessness in Denver, emphasizing the need for targeted solutions to address the unique vulnerabilities of specific groups, including minorities, single mothers, and the elderly.
Socks, a beanie, and like some hygiene products, and then some water and a blanket.
Interestingly, the primary driver of homelessness in Denver is not solely the cost of housing or rental rates. Instead, relationship issues and family breakdowns are the leading factors, followed closely by the inability to afford rent or purchase a home. The Denver metro area ranks 16th out of more than 300 metropolitan regions in terms of housing shortages, with an estimated deficit of nearly 70,000 units. This shortage is compounded by steep housing costs, with the average market rent for a two-bedroom apartment at $1,864 and the median home price reaching $580,000. For many residents, renting or owning a home in the Denver metro area is becoming increasingly unattainable. The housing wage needed to afford a two-bedroom apartment is $35.84 per hour, far exceeding the average minimum wage in the metro area, which is just $14.17 per hour. This gap leaves many Coloradans struggling to keep up with rising costs. Job loss and the inability to secure employment are also significant contributors, accounting for 39% of homelessness cases across the Denver metro area. Additionally, mental health challenges and substance abuse issues remain pervasive factors, further exacerbating the homelessness crisis in the region. Together, these causes illustrate the multifaceted and interwoven nature of homelessness in Denver, where economic pressures, personal struggles, and systemic barriers collide. Denver's homeless population is visible across various parts of the city, particularly in parks, underpasses, and other public areas. La Alma Lincoln Park, for instance, is lined with encampments, especially during the summer, where groups of homeless individuals gather on its lawns. Similarly, Civic Center Park and the bustling 16th Street Mall are hotspots for those seeking proximity to aid services such as soup kitchens and food distribution centers. Along the South Platte River, small tents frequently appear near bike and pedestrian trails. These areas are preferred for their access to water and relative seclusion from the busy downtown atmosphere. Another prominent location is near 4th Avenue and Calumet Street, where rising homelessness has led to an increase in encampments. Homeless individuals also seek out more concealed spots, such as underpasses, like those along Interstate 25 or large roadways, which provide shelter from harsh weather conditions. For those wishing to avoid public scrutiny or city enforcement sweeps, isolated locations near abandoned warehouses or industrial zones offer a degree of privacy and safety. These varied locations reflect both the adaptability of Denver's homeless population and the challenges they face in balancing visibility with safety, proximity to resources, and protection from the elements. Safety concerns are among the most pressing challenges for Denver's homeless population. Many experience violence or theft, either within their own communities or from external threats. Additionally, frequent city sweeps force them to relocate constantly, often resulting in the loss of essential belongings during these enforced moves. Mental health struggles are another significant burden. Around 31% of the homeless population battles conditions such as depression, anxiety, or schizophrenia, often without access to adequate care. These challenges are frequently exacerbated by substance abuse or alcohol dependency. Unfortunately, access to mental health services remains limited, especially for those without insurance or stable communication methods, leaving many untreated and vulnerable. Daily hygiene and sanitation also pose critical problems. With limited access to public restrooms and showers, maintaining cleanliness is nearly impossible for many, leading to health issues like skin infections or gastrointestinal illnesses. Additionally, the accumulation of trash around encampments often worsens living conditions, creating health hazards and fueling tensions with nearby residents. Denver's extreme weather further compounds these struggles. In winter, the homeless face severe risks from frostbite and hypothermia, while the scorching summer months bring threats of dehydration and heat stroke. Shelter availability is insufficient to meet demand, leaving many to endure harsh conditions without adequate protection from the elements.
Really work well because they radiate out the heat, so that's really a good.
In Denver, immigrants and the homeless often face a double burden of discrimination, making their lives even more challenging. Immigrants, particularly those without legal status, struggle to access basic services such as housing and healthcare due to bureaucratic hurdles and language barriers. The pandemic exacerbated these difficulties, as many lost jobs in sectors like restaurants and construction, but were ineligible for unemployment benefits, despite their employers contributing taxes to such programs. This irony underscores the systemic inequities they face daily. Both groups frequently encounter negative stereotypes. Immigrants and the homeless are often labeled as a burden to the city, which influences policies that fail to provide meaningful support. For instance, city ordinances sometimes force homeless individuals to vacate encampments without offering clear alternatives for shelter. In communities like Lakewood, concerns among residents about allocating resources to immigrants have sparked debates. Many locals worry that assisting immigrants or the homeless could come at the expense of services for long-term residents.
Why did our city manager go to the city of Denver to see how is Lakewood going to help the city of Denver with this migrant issue?
This stigma and the resulting policy gaps reflect deep-seated biases that perpetuate hardships for both immigrants and the homeless. Addressing these challenges requires not only resources, but also a shift in public perception to foster more inclusive and equitable support systems.
I have met with my city manager who was in the meeting, and there was not a request for Lakewood to house migrants at all.
On the other hand, those of us who are more fortunate must step away from stigmatizing the homeless and instead cultivate empathy. Stigmatization not only affects their mental health, but can also lead to tragic outcomes. Take the story of Joe Henry, a former employee at the Brown Palace Hotel. Just 2 weeks after losing his job, Joe ended his life on August 22nd. Joe became homeless after his roommate died of an overdose, leaving him unable to afford rent. He initially lived in his car and later secured a job at the Brown Palace through the Step Denver program, which supports those recovering from homelessness and addiction. However, despite his efforts, Joe lost his housing once again and was forced to endure Denver's harsh winters. When his car was stolen, Joe resorted to sleeping in a dilapidated room at the hotel where he worked. Security eventually discovered his actions, and he was terminated from his job. With the little money he had left, Joe stayed at a motel, but those funds ran out on August 21st. The next day, he tragically took his own life. Joe's story is a stark reminder of the devastating cycles of poverty, homelessness, and hopelessness. It underscores the urgent need for systemic support and compassion for those struggling to survive in the face of overwhelming adversity.
Night, when the people really need to get in and get warm, they didn't even have them open.
Homelessness is undeniably a complex issue with widespread consequences. According to Denver 7, the rising number of homeless encampments in downtown Denver has posed serious challenges for local businesses. Scott Kors, the owner of Triangle Bar, reported unpleasant odors and an uncomfortable environment that have driven away customers. Businesses such as the British Bulldog and Triangle Bar have seen sales drop by up to 40% since the nearby closure of Firestone Tires 3 months ago.
Decline by 35%, 40%.
Business owners fear that if the situation continues to deteriorate, permanent closures may be inevitable. The aesthetic impact on the city is also significant. The increasing visibility of homeless encampments in downtown areas, particularly near tourist attractions, has raised concerns about Denver's image. Tents and makeshift shelters create a stark contrast to the city's vibrant reputation, potentially tarnishing its status as a premier travel destination. Additionally, homelessness has become increasingly linked to rising crime and overdose deaths. Recent data indicates that nearly 2/3 of homeless fatalities this year were caused by overdoses, with fentanyl and methamphetamine being the most commonly involved substances. The crisis is deepening as neighborhoods reported an average of 4 drug-related crimes per month earlier in the year, a figure that surged to 29 incidents in September.
Maybe educate everybody else or show them not to and just lay down and die.
The government of Denver has implemented several programs to tackle homelessness, including the much-discussed Denver Basic Income Project. This initiative provides $12,000 annually to homeless individuals, and it has shown promising results. Participants who once lived in tents have reported significant improvements in their lives, gaining financial stability, securing housing, finding employment, and fostering better relationships. Observers also noted that the program saved the city money by reducing reliance on emergency services and shelter costs. However, the program faces an uncertain future as funds dwindle, and its continuation is in doubt. While the outcomes have been largely positive, some lawmakers oppose the concept of a basic income, arguing that it could discourage people from seeking work. Meanwhile, Mayor Mike Johnston has spearheaded efforts to move 2,000 individuals from encampments into tiny home villages and city-owned hotels. Originally known as the House 1000 Project, the initiative has been rebranded as All in Mile High and aims to achieve 2 key objectives: transitioning people out of homelessness and eliminating the sprawling encampments that once occupied multiple city blocks. Nonprofit organizations are also playing a vital role in alleviating homelessness. Nagy, a former homeless individual, proposed the creation of an environmental resource center under the leadership of the nonprofit group Elevated Denver. This center is envisioned as a one-stop service hub connecting newly homeless individuals with critical resources, including housing, healthcare, job training, utility assistance, and credit card debt relief. Together, these initiatives represent a multifaceted approach to addressing Denver's homelessness crisis, combining financial assistance, housing solutions, and comprehensive resource networks to create pathways towards stability and recovery.